Good evening, preppers. So, I've been posting a lot of stuff about EMP lately, so I figured I'd take a little bit of time and put together just a little bit, some highlights and some topics and some touch points on EMPs, at least what I know. So I'll start going through this. We'll see how long this video goes. All right. So I guess we'll start with what is an EMP. So an EMP is basically a burst of electromagnetic radiation that can disrupt and destroy electronic devices and power grids. That's the simplest way for me to put it. That's what an EMP is. Basically, they shoot a nuclear bomb up above us, it explodes, and then it disrupts all the electric devices in the power grid, or some of it. You don't really know. It depends on what you read. So there's three types of EMPs. There's a high altitude nuclear EMP, or HEMP. That's what happens when a nuclear explosion basically goes off in the atmosphere. There's a solar EMP. That's a CME, or coronal mass ejection. And then there's a non-nuclear EMP, or NNEMP. That's caused by a device like electromagnetic bombs or something that will go off. So those are basically the three types of EMP. So that's what you have to worry about. What's the impact to America? So there's a few things. You got power grid failure, communication disruption, so loss of cellular, internet, radio services, all that kind of stuff. Transportation breakdown, so your vehicle, airplane, rail, anything basically that has electronics dies. And then economic and social disruption, supply chain. And that's really a major one. So food, water shortages, definitely civil unrest, which leads us to a whole another topic. But there's a lot of factors and a lot of things, but those are I'd say the four big ones that you have to worry about. Let's assess the vulnerability. So if we identify the risk at all the high levels, so like infrastructure, national power grid, critical facilities, so hospitals, emergency rooms, anything to do with healthcare, and the financial system. Infrastructure will be, obviously, if this is a big time EMP, it's going to be pretty jacked. So, all things we have to talk about here as we go through this. Your personal vulnerability. So this is why we prep, right? So what's your location? Are you urban or are you rural? You live in the city, you live in the country. Are you in the suburbs? Your location and where you live is huge, Dependence on electrical devices. Goes back to your preparedness plan. So, did you do things like get a percolator, candles, solar, which who knows if that's going to make it, but that kind of stuff. So it goes back to your prep again. And then health and medical needs. So making sure you have everything you need for your family, healthcare wise, like medication. You got to try to get a year of medication. You can do it. There's places out there like Jace Medical. They don't have all medications, but they have some. So you can get antibiotics there. It's a good deal too, because you can use like your HSA or your FSA, and buy them now if you have any money in there. It's like $260. Well worth it. Okay, so let's talk about just a little bit of prepping. So what can you do for an EMP event? You could build a Faraday cage. I won't break that down now. I think I'm going to do a whole video on the little ammo cam ones I build, so more to come there. But any kind of DIY Faraday cage, you can get the the bags and all that kind of stuff. Depends on what you have for money. So you definitely want to look at Faraday cage. Emergency power solutions, solar power with make sure you protect it. So your inverters and all your stuff, make sure you protect it from the EMP. Manual generators and hand crank devices. Any of that stuff you're going to want to have on hand. What else? So going down the list, stockpiling essentials. So food, water. For me, I say at least 6 months to a year. Medical supplies, we just kind of covered, and first aid. You want to have boo-boo kit through, pressure dressing and tourniquet, bare minimum. And one of the things a lot of people forget when they get into this is personal hygiene and sanitation supplies. I mean, being clean is going to be one of the most important things. So getting some cheap soap, vacuum sealing it, put it away, it will last a long time. There's all kinds of stuff you can do. Make sure you got that type of stuff. That's where coupons come in, Communication. So this is a big one. Again, I'm going to hit just the topic of it. We can get into communication. I'm very versed in it. I'm an extra class ham radio operator. I've been one for 10 years. So that's a different video. But you want to have a protected shortwave and ham radio. So that's what you want in your Faraday cage, or you want to try to protect them the best you can. And then you want to establish some type of communications network. So, learning the ham stuff before the shit hits the fan is pretty smart. But if you didn't, you have to have some type of comm plan internally with your family. So what are you going to do? What are the radios? Where are you going to go? That type of stuff. Transportation and mobility. So you want to have non-electric transportation if possible. Bikes, horses. Really that's what it is, bikes and horses. You got a bike or a horse, you can get around. And then you want to make sure you have all the maintenance equipment, inner tubes and all that kind of stuff for your bike or whatever. And you could have a protected vehicle too. EMP shield. Code SHTF, New Hampshire, NH. SHTF, NH. $50 off. You can do that too. Next one. Community preparedness and security. So I talk a lot about this, but so forming a local group or a network of like-minded people. That's really what that is. And then with that, developing your own community security plan. So again, it depends on where you live, but there's still no reason why you can't have some type of like-minded friends that you meet with and get ready. It's going to be very important. You can't do it by yourself, despite what you think. So now the EMP hits, you prep for it. So what do you do in the post-EMP? How are you going to survive? I got a few things here I'll go over with you, in my opinion. So first is you got to have basic survival skills. Fire making, water purification, shelter building, first aid, CPR, all that kind of stuff. So basic survival skills, basic first aid. You got to be prepping that now. You got to get that knowledge, whether you go to courses through the Red Cross, classes, CERT, anything like that. If you can make it, that's great. If not, there's a lot of stuff out there. You can always watch YouTube. Honestly, I learned a lot of stuff off YouTube that I didn't know, and then I just go out, do practical application, and then I train myself how to do it. Anybody can do it. Alternative communication skills. So a couple things that are big. So if you have your shortwave and it's protected, knowing Morse code. knowing basic ham radio operation, like what to listen for, what they're talking about, what different things mean. And then you want to establish non-digital means of communication. So analog, have an analog radio, protected analog radio. Some other things, farming and food production, obviously big. So learning how to garden and small scale farm, or it could even be like your little deck garden. Learn how to garden. It's very important. And then food preservation, huge. So drying, canning, fermenting, salting animals, meat and stuff, smoking meat. You want to make sure you have some of these skills and understand, because you can still can without electricity, but you got to practice. You got to get your water bath canner, you got to get your pressure canner, you got to get it out there over an open flame, you got to regulate that heat and go. Also, this, propane might work, your grill may work, so you can still can. So if you have stuff in the freezer, get it out and can. So having the canners and knowing how to use the canners is like step one food preservation, in my opinion. Again, we could talk about this kind of stuff in a different video just about this, but if you don't know how to can, you're going to be in trouble. That simple. All right, enough of that. Mechanical and electrical repair. So basic mechanical work for your vehicle. So if your vehicle works, you're going to need to know how to keep it going. Have basic tools, stuff to change your oil, that type of stuff. And then understanding small electrical repairs, how to splice two wires together, have all the appropriate electrical connectors to do that kind of stuff, how to change a blown fuse, that type of stuff. Because if something is running, you're going to want to know how to fix it, if you can. So this next one is more broad, but I wanted to cover it anyway. So strategic long-term planning. So relocation. Have you put thought into, if you're in the city, can you get out? Assessing safer regions that are in safe distances from like known nuclear targets. New York, Boston, California, places like that where high population and they're going to want to blow the EMP. If you live there, can you get out? Can you get a remote job? Again, you got to put thought into that. That's a personal choice. And then if you can't, do you find like a prepper community or a prepper group, or somebody in your family that lives in a different state on a farm, or someone that lives in a better location or a better area? Can you make that connection? So in the event that you're in the city and this stuff happens and you can get to them and your plan is to get there, again, that could be solid, especially if you're planning ahead, pre-staging your food, pre-staging your clothes, pre-staging your guns and your ammo and all your other stuff. Have enough for you to survive 30, 60 days, take what you can and get out. That could also be a good plan. And another thing I wanted to cover is you got to develop what you're going to do for barter. Once that happens, there is no money, nothing matters. So it's all going to be with, what do you have? What are you going to trade? So you're going to want to stock tradable goods, knowledge, books, alcohol that'll last forever. Again, medical supplies, lots of antibiotics, silver, gold. The list goes on. So you got to decide, what do I want to barter with, or what do I think is going to be the most effective thing where I live or regionally that is going to help me the most if this stuff happens. And then a couple more things here, and then I'll close it out. So I wanted to harp again on the importance of preparedness. Being prepared is, to me, it's preparedness next to godliness. Other than prayer, you should be prepping. And prepping could mean anything. A lot of the stuff I've covered in other videos, EMP prep, you just got to decide, what you're going to do. Because coming up, we have a big election. And even if Donald Trump wins, we're still going to have civil unrest. We're still going to have all that stuff. So getting ahead of it now is going to be good. And we could have power outages. And a power outage is the same as an EMP. If you got no power in your house, everything's going to die anyway. So your generator, gas can't run forever. Eventually, you're going to be in that shit hits the fan situation, and you're going to hope that you're prepped. So, as an individual and as a family, you really got to put thought into it, and you really got to talk about preparedness. It's good to be prepared anyway. And then the last two pieces. So continuous education is a big one with me, as well as how do you adapt or assimilate. So you're going to want to practice skills and learn stuff constantly. For me, I like to learn something new anytime I can. Any kind of skill. Anything that's going to help me protect my family and survive and last longer. I want to learn it, and then I want to retain it. So if I learn it, I got to practice it. I can't just dump it. So continuous improvement is going to be huge, especially in the preparedness world, and being able to adapt. It's going to be tough, and you're going to run into people that you can't stand, and there's all kinds of stuff going to happen when you're in that type of situation. It's very similar for the guys that have been to combat. When you go to combat, you have to adapt. That's it. You don't know where you're going to go, what's going to happen. You may not like the people on your team. You may not like your chain of command. You may not like the people in the country that you're in. But you have no choice, right? You got to be a professional, and you got to survive. Same in this preparedness game. So that's it. That's basically what I jotted down. Kind of a lot to throw at you, but just think, if you're going to prep for an EMP, you got to kind of go through all that stuff that I just talked about. You can always rewind it and listen to it again. But if you guys like this video, do me a favor, like my channel, like the video. It just helps me. I see that I'm actually reaching people, and people are either listening to it or not, so I can kind of decide what direction I'm going to go in with what videos I'm going to do. And that's it, man. A lot going on in the world. Don't let this get to you and bring it down and stress you out too much. But you gotta prepare. So if you're not prepared, you still got a little bit of time. Little by little, start getting some stuff. Stop stocking it right. Think about it and train. Get out there and train. And if you can't do anything else when you got no money, you can always. Physical fitness is free. You don't even need a gym membership. And the people that are the most fit are going to survive the longest. So you can always do that. But anyway, this is SHTF. I'm going to sign off for now. Do yourself a favor. Keep prepping.